Hi there. I hope you are having a wonderful time studying. I thought I'd check in and offer a little bit of guidance on the short answer question because that's where we see the most students struggle. So it's always worth giving it a little bit of extra love. So I want to talk about understanding the questions today. So what we look for in these questions are what we call commands. So commands mean words like identify, describe, explain, things like that. So I'm going to do is sort of lead you from start to finish on how we would work out these types of questions. So identify, that's the most straightforward. It's very similar to questions you may have been asked in level 2. It's essentially state what the answer is. So we're going to use the example with what is the climate of Champaign? So the wording would be identify the climate of Champaign. So that's an easy answer. It's cool continental climate. So that would be it. But then when we talk about commands like describe, that's when we need to actually talk about what it is. So for that, the answer for something like identify and describe the climate of Champaign, the identify we took care of. We've identified it's cool continental. The describe is where we need to start actually talking about what is cool continental climate. So for this example, we would further elaborate on the fact that it has an average of 16.5 Celsius temperature. It has cold winters, short, hot summers, and then the temperature drops dramatically in the fall season. So there's other things you can describe, but those are just some examples of things. So that is the describe. Now explain is the harder one because explain as a command, that goes beyond description. You obviously need to describe things to get there, but the explanation is really the why and the how. So it takes a little bit more thinking on your part to decide why does this thing have the impact on this thing that it does. So let's keep using the Champagne example. So if we had a question like explain how the climate of Champagne impacts the fruit grown and why this makes the wine in that area suitable for the production of traditional method sparkling wine. So a much more complex question, but not too difficult to answer. So one way we can answer it is that Champagne has a cool continental climate, and with a short growing season, the grapes grown in this area end up having low sugars and high acidity. So that's the how. That's how the climate in Champagne affects the fruit. Low alcohol, high acidity. So now we have the why. Why does this matter for traditional method sparkling wine? And if you've studied the sparkling section, you'll clearly see that during the second fermentation, the alcohol percentage increases by 1.2 to 1.3%. So that means that it's that much more important for us to have a base wine that is not only dry, but that is a little lower in alcohol because we know it's going to increase. So if we want dry wine, we want that acidity, and then we want the alcohol to be around 10 to 11%. What we need is a cool continental climate. So it all works out, and that's just one way to answer that question. There's a lot of these questions, the short answer, it's up for interpretation from you and the knowledge base that you have, but as long as you are answering the question that is being asked. A lot of times we see students submit long-winded answers that are just sort of a brain dump of all the information they know. That's wonderful. That doesn't necessarily answer the question. So look at those commands and really make sure that you are answering what is being asked of you. And one good thing to do, two good things, is look at the other questions that you have in the exercises and start circling what the commands are, and then practice, even in just a one sentence, how you would answer that. And so that kind of getting used to that brief outline of how to answer the question. If you do that before you go ahead and start writing, then you've got your setup of what you're going to say. And another thing you could do is actually practice writing your own questions using these commands. This identify, describe, explain, because the more that you understand how the structure of these questions works and what it's asking for, then the easier it will be for you to answer them when you find them on your exam. So I hope that is helpful. Send me a message if you have any questions, and good luck with your